All right, everybody, and welcome to another edition of TNM Unplugged. When you are elevating your heart, your mind, your spirit, and your soul to the completely new levels of yourself, the space for you to learn new skills, new tools, new competencies in the space of personal development, and the space when you can sharpen your leadership skills if you're one of the leaders listening from your organization as well. And today we're going to have a very, very special guest who is going to help us with this elevation as we're going to look into the importance of meditation and meditation practices. We will demystify this concept. We will look into it from different perspectives. We're going to feel into it. We're going to tune into it and really learn how can meditation benefit your life from our perspective. So today with me, joining me, Vikram Mall. He is a really good friend and colleague. Just quick introduction about Vikram. What can I tell you? He's one of also this multi-potentialist and multidimensionalist because he has so many different layers of himself. But I'm just going to talk only about the layer of his work within the personal development industry, leadership development industry. He has more than 25 years of experience in that area. He has worked with leadership, team building, communication, creativity, behavioral interviews, presentation skills and coachings. Whenever he do whatever he does within corporate world, business world, with individual clients, it's always a fun, exciting, and then on top of everything, creative experience. He mixes different methodologies from facilitation to training to group coaching to individual coaching. He is also passionate about outdoors, and he's done a lot of outdoors activities when people can really play to discover and explore themselves. He also uses psychometrics, theater, and various versions of simulations and exercising. So he's a super, super cool guy to be with us today. And also on his level of personal passions, he loves scuba diving, rafting, paragliding, horseback riding, and so on and so forth. As I told you, he's a multidimensional being, multi-potentialist with a lot of layers to discover. But today, we're going to focus around his experience and knowledge transfer in the space of meditation. So, Vikram, welcome.
Thank you, Zoran. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, meditation is this topic that everybody's curious about, especially nowadays when we live in these challenging times. People need to get in touch with themselves and to really, kind of begin getting to know themselves on a deeper level. And meditation is one of the tools. So I wanted to ask you, how did you get into meditation? What would you like to share to start this learning journey with us around uncovering, understanding, and then practicing meditation?
So my journey, Zoran, started when I was about 9 years old. I was in a boarding school, and it was a very anglicized boarding school. So, moving towards yoga and practices of meditation was not really looked upon very kindly. But I remember reading a lot of books in my father's library on yoga, so that fascination stayed.
Yeah.
And meditation is one of the many parts of yoga. And in India, you can experience various schools of meditation. And what was interesting in my journey was that my teacher was very yoga oriented. So, took me through the two concepts of Dharna and
Right.
Dhyana. Now, Dharna is, when loosely translated, it means focus, concentration. And there are cleansing techniques in yoga like Tratak, something I teach a lot of my clients to initiate them into meditation. So the premise is in yoga that you must start with dharna first and then move on to dhyan or to meditation. So, using a mantra or, using prayer beads or using a candlelight. So things like that. So my teachers were very good. They taught me the differences and they took me through different levels. And for that, various other practices like, the saline water cleanses of the nose, of the stomach. So it's quite vast, the whole thing.
Right.
But for a layperson, it's always very interesting to see how, people jump to very advanced stages without having gone through the very functional stages of understanding what is the difference between focus, concentration, and meditation. Then later, I also happened to spend some time in the Bihar School of Yoga at Munger in one of the states in India, which is very popular abroad as a school of thought of yoga. And then I had also spent some time in a southern school of thought of yoga from
Right.
South India. So I had spent another 3 months there, and that was more about massage and meditation and various visualizations. Plus my own practices. I've also been a student of Vipassana. I've
Right.
also done some Tibetan Buddhist meditations. And I have now come back to the original teachings of yoga. And that's what I teach. That's what I practice. That's what I use as a healing technique. That's what I like to talk about. I like to I like
Yeah.
to work with, and I have my own personal daily practice, which varies between 20 minutes on a busy day to maybe 2 hours on a day when I have more time.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. And what caught my attention as you were sharing is that you said there is a difference between focus and concentration and meditation, and people really need to understand that difference. Can you please tell me more about that so we can look into that part?
Yeah, sure. So let's say I've got a prayer bead, yeah,
Hmm.
and I'm going. Let's say one of the most common mantras known the world over is Om. Yeah.
Yes, I love it. I use it all the
Yeah.
time. Oh,
So yeah, yeah. So I'm holding the bead and I'm going Om 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 Om. That's not meditation. You know,
okay.
you're not even bringing your focus to the mantra, the jap as you call it, the because it's very mechanical. Now, what one needs to understand is that every time you move a bead, your entire focus has to be there
Hmm.
in the movement of the thumb over the bead, the feel of the bead slipping over your finger, and you saying the Om with the awareness that I'm pushing the bead now, and my entire focus is on the bead that is moving around my middle finger. Yeah. Now, bringing that focus constantly, and because your mind will jump to different things. So, the mantra is used as a way to bring focus to the here and now, and the movement is to give you some support physically.
Hmm. Hmm.
But a lot of people just do it, they just keep doing
Yes.
that, and they keep flicking it and they keep flicking it and they keep flicking it, and that's not meditation. So that becomes very mechanical. So the whole idea is to first allow your focus to come to the practice. So it could be the candle flame. So every time you're staring at a candle, you're not supposed to blink. You do it for about 5 to 10 minutes because it can be very tedious for the eyes. Plus,
Yeah.
it's a cleanser. It's a huge cleanser for the body, for the mind, for the spiritual space that each human being contains and carries.
Uh-huh.
So when you're looking at the candle flame, and your mind is going off to, oh, I have to pay this bill, I have a talk with Zoran today at 3:30,
Yeah.
etc. So you've got to gently bring it back and start looking at the flame without chiding yourself, without doing anything. Now that is concentration. That is not meditation. That's
Got
the
it.
gateway to meditation,
Yeah.
and then once one learns how to sit in the here and now without distractions,
Hmm.
and is able to hold elaborate pieces of time within oneself without distraction, that starts opening passages to meditation.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I guess somewhere, when the West and the East collided a
Hmm.
few years back, few
Yeah.
hundreds of years back, so,
Yeah.
the words got lost in translation and
Yeah.
it just became meditation.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So let's just stay there because I think this is a great learning and wonderful sharing from you, from our audience. So when I'm able to hold my concentration without distraction, you mentioned this is then the gateway to meditation. So the first step for me to really be able to advance in this practice is to be able to do that, correct?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
when I'm able to do it and I enter into this space of meditation, what happens there?
For each individual, there may be various things. What I can share some scientific,
Yeah,
you know,
please.
data with you, and some, findings that a lot of great people have put their heart, body, mind, and soul to.
Yeah.
Just allow me a moment. So, there is there are the four states that the human mind undergoes. So
Right.
you have the beta, you have the alpha, you have the theta, and they work at different levels. So let me just allow me. Yeah. So if you're looking at the beta waves, which is the key to the act of cognition, what we are doing right now, you and I, this is
Yes.
functioning between 13 to 40 hertz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The alpha waves, they move between 7 to 12. And this is absorbed relaxation. When you are, let's say, sitting and reading a book, or you're listening to music, you're doing a slow walk. Yeah. And in this absorbed state, this is where, this is the gateway to the deeper states of consciousness. And what science has been able to pick up from meditators,
Mm-hmm.
long term meditators, is that the theta waves uh, function between 4 to 7, which is it is known as the reservoir for increasing creativity. I'm
Right.
sure, most of us experience, this state when, sometimes you're about to sleep and you feel that you're going down a hill and you shake and you come back,
Yeah.
to,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
oh, okay, I'm not falling. And that's
Yeah.
the state. Now, that is happening unconsciously to most people. But with people who practice meditation over a regular period of time,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
this state is something that you can come to after a few minutes of practice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to bring to your attention something very interesting, Zoran. There is a difference between stage and state.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So once you have practiced certain states, you will reach a stage.
Mm-hmm.
And to come to that stage, you don't need too much practice.
Got it.
But it will not work in the way it happens today. I meditate once a week. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It is something that you need to build in on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why people who have worked consciously or unconsciously with these states are able to come to that focus very quickly. If you see, Olympics, the
Yeah.
sports people, with so many people shouting, screaming, and everything, they are able to bring that entire
Yeah.
focus, concentration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you can see them doing the little breathing and letting it out, and bringing a focus. They a lot of people talk to themselves, which
Mm-hmm.
is the whole concept of dharna, the
Mm-hmm.
mantra jap. You're talking to yourself, affirmations. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And people talk to them, and they bring that whole focus into that thing. So the crowd doesn't matter, nothing matters, is that focus. And then there is execution. Similarly, in creativity and in healing, these gateways open. But you can't ask a pole vaulter, or an archer that, you come after 3 months and shoot an arrow. It won't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. They might get it right because they've already reached different stages of
Yeah.
practice.
On the state. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is difference between states and stages also.
Mm-hmm.
And a regular practice will get you that. Now I'll spend a couple of minutes on the last one, which is the delta waves, which is 0 to 4 hertz. And it is also to do with another technique of meditation or relaxation, which is now also is popular in the West,
Yeah.
called Yog Nidra
Mm-hmm.
or Yoga Nidra.
Yes.
And Nidra coming from sleep, which is being able to sustain level of consciousness and unconsciousness, and still knowing that things are, uh, there are things I can bring to my consciousness. So when people have practice, like I have my own practice of 20 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
I don't need a watch, I don't need anything. I simply lie down and I start my practice. And on the 20th minute, my eyes are open. And
Wonderful.
I still am, bewildered by this practice of mine.
You're surprised every
Yeah,
time you
yeah,
open your eyes.
I
Something
still continue
happens.
to be surprised that, it's just on the spot.
Yeah.
And people I've taught this to in my healing work, uh, after a few weeks, they report the same thing.
Yeah.
But it takes consistent practice.
Mm.
Yeah.
So the key is consistency, and the key is to understand that to achieve certain state, you really need to be consistent in your efforts to keep on doing the same thing again and again and again. So I'm
Yeah.
going backwards a little bit. So that state of being able to concentrate, and then you opening the gateway so that you can then be able to enter into the space of meditation. So we're now there. We understand the different wavelengths of our brains. So when you really want to meditate powerfully, what is your recommendation or suggestion? And how would you get people to start practicing meditation? Let's start with that for the people who are not advanced meditator. What would be the easiest way into it?
So my recommendation to all and sundry people who come to me just to talk about this particular thing.
Yeah.
Let's say I've mentioned it in the passing in a corporate session with TNM. The sessions we do in TNM, and somebody talks about it. So I do mention that you can have a chat with me in
Yeah.
London, or something. So one of the things I tell people and strongly advise people to do is use a candle 6 feet away, keep it at eye level, start with only 2 minutes, and then progress gradually by increasing half a minute each, not more than 10 minutes. Look at the candle flame, keep staring at it, don't blink. If you can do that, wonderful. If you do, then gently just close your eyes and open them again and bring it back to the flame. Every time your mind wanders, bring it to the flame. So then people do ask me, what am I supposed to think about? And that's when I break into a smile and I say, just let it flow. Every time your mind wanders, bring it back. I think one of the things teachers of meditation fall prey to is wanting to color the imagination, and that is
Yeah.
one thing that one needs to be very very often say, no, I don't know what you're going to experience. It's your experience.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Because if you say, you will see purple light or something, the purple, it's just like the pink elephant or various things that people use. So the person is then hung up on, oh, I didn't see purple light. So you don't say any of those things. You just ask the person to bring it back.
Yeah.
The beauty is when you've done it, there are 2-3 requisites, and this is something from my personal experience and studies of various experiences of various other meditators around the world. See, I'd like to deviate a bit here. I think one of the things in the Eastern philosophy is, when gurus taught us, we never questioned. Yeah, you just sat down and you did stuff. Yeah, that's how I grew up with my gurus. What I love about the Western mind is they don't take anything sitting down, so they go into the nitty gritties. They will, they
Ask.
they will research it and everything and come back to what my guru was saying anyways. Yeah. But the beauty is now that they have data and they've broken up and they're saying, okay, this is hertz and this is this and this is this. So that's the beauty of the Western and the Eastern minds and how that mix happens. Now coming back, what all research shows is fixing a time of the day and having a regular practice. So you're not falling prey to, oh, I have a cheat day. That's so much of BS. Yeah. And it doesn't work that way with the body. The body doesn't understand today's a Sunday and today's a Saturday. We do breathe, we do eat, we do rest. So similarly, you bring in a meditation practice at a fixed time in a fixed place.
Yeah.
Very important to have the conducive environment for meditation, not a room filled with clutter, too many sounds coming. So you as a person who's moving into meditation, it's good to find a time and a spot in the house or anywhere else in the surroundings where the person can go dedicatedly and make that a sacred space and time and say, this is about me going inside. This is about me watching myself. So, and then higher, what we talk about today, or some people call the higher stuff, is like self-love and self-compassion. All this will only happen with meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that you have a fixed time, fixed space, dedicated moment in your life. Then your body understands through that repetition of habitual behavior that this is now your time to be in connection with yourself. Wonderful. I think that's very, very important
Yeah,
for
that's why we
people.
have designated places. We have a toilet. It has designated,
Yeah,
jobs to be done. You have a shower cabinet. You only take a shower there. There's your
yeah,
kitchen. You cook. There's your veranda you go to for your plants or for sitting outside, etc. The bed,
yes,
which is for sleep. The study, which is for study. Similarly, you know, and and that's why, because the moment you come into that space, your your faculties, your energies are already accepting that I'm in this space for this particular thing.
yeah.
The
So
work is
now I'm going to ask you a bit of the challenging question, not challenging, like interesting. What was the most extraordinary experience you received in the meditation space that you would love to share with people? Something that you got from meditation, something that you experienced, breakthrough or insight or aha moment or connection to consciousness, anything that you feel like you would really love to share with the audience.
okay, because I've been practicing for many years. There's
Mhm.
not one, but
Okay,
there
choose
are,
few.
I'll tell you three, four that come to the top of my mind. One is the ability to visualize what I want to do and to be able to do those kind of things. Like getting my driving license in Dubai. Yeah. And I totally, when I went to Dubai, it was like, oh, you don't, this is in the 90s when it was quite
Yeah.
difficult. I got it all in the first shot. And I would just sit and visualize, me getting my driving license and in the first shot. And when I came back, I was working with the body shop at that time. And I remember when I came back to office and I said, I got my license. Most people didn't believe me. And, uh, and,
how
and when they asked
how
me,
did you do
I
it
said,
that quickly and that easily?
yeah. And I think one book that really comes to the top of my mind is Creative Visualization by Shakti Gawain. And I
Yeah, I
think
love
that's a
that book.
very, very powerful book, very simple.
Yeah.
And and she talks about a concept which is very close to my heart, which is be, do, have. And she really talks a lot about that in that book. So that's a
Mhm.
very good entry point for people who want to understand
Yeah.
difference between visualization and meditation
Yeah.
practices.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The second has been able to understand my own projections, my own pains, my, to be able to sit with all the things that conflict me in my relationships with people, with the environment, with my own self.
Mhm.
To be able to understand where are they coming from. And
Mhm.
for that, one needs to be still to be able to see where is all this taking birth,
Mhm.
where is the source of all this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So in the deeper work, that is, there are various, aha moments I've had. I say, oh my God, this is what had happened to me at that time. Okay,
Right.
and this is what I'm carrying even till date. So
Mhm.
that is that. In my Vipassana practices, which I've been to for quite a few times,
Mhm.
it normally starts on the day 4 for me, day 3, day 4, day 5.
Mhm.
Um, and it is that entire flow of energy, right from the sole of my feet right to
Mhm.
my head, and it is absolutely without any um, any derailers or any stoppages or any kind of blockages, nothing. And it's just a flow of the energy. And the beauty is that after the break, when I come back and I sit down, I can come back to that stage.
Mhm.
But when I come back to the world that I am in right now and you are in right now, I'm not able to bring it because I don't have that sound practice uh,
Mhm.
as we speak. But
Yes.
that is something that I'm sure you can make up by the look on my face. Is always very exciting for me. And
Yeah. Yeah, of
yeah,
course.
and it is not easy to put down into words,
Yeah.
because after some time words lose the power of the experience. You can't explain every experience.
And you shouldn't, on a certain level. And this is what I love when you shared about, certain meditation teachers give people certain visuals so they keep on looking for them, that visual translate it to the word, it really loses the power of your inner experiences. And sometimes it's difficult to put language onto it. I was mostly looking into that because some people have these high expectations of meditations, and in Western world specifically, when you talk about meditation, the ultimate outcome of it is to reach that state of bliss, that state of nirvana, that you're fully interconnected with the source, with oneness, with God, with universe, however we call it. And the whole meditation practice is to attain that level of consciousness when you can really be one with everything in existence, right? So I was just curious how that happens in your ongoing meditation practices. Do you reach that level of you feel, okay, I'm the one?
Yeah, so it only comes with regular practice, and it stays for a short while. The thing is that we all work in a material world. So I'm
Yes.
not talking of the Western concept of materialism as in, so material world, you and I are using
Yeah,
material
3D.
products.
Exactly.
Yeah, just a daily thing. It is about bringing that practice to daily practices. So I'm talking to Zoran. I'm aware of what is happening with me. I'm aware that I'm excited at the moment because I'm talking of a very dear subject, very very dear, very personal subject, which excites me every time I talk about it. So I'm aware that there is an excitement. Now I'm also aware that I want to use this excitement to convey my message.
Yes.
And I don't
Yeah.
want to sound like some very false guru and say, meditation is all about. And I don't want to do that. You know, I'm aware that this is my energy level, and I want to talk and I want to use this energy to communicate that it can be exciting and you can be, you know, childlike about it and
Yes.
not childish, but childlike about it. And you don't have to go into the fake stuff of like, hello, and things like that. So,
Yeah.
there are different experiences. Also, what is, I'll share a couple of things. The philosopher from India who became very popular in the West, J. Krishnamurti, I think
Yeah.
he explains this beautifully, and he says, "Love is feeling.
Mhm.
Love is feeling. Love is not a feeling."
Mhm. Mhm.
Same
Mhm.
way. So when you take meditation and you start, accessing different stages, then that love is not for one or two people. That experience of oneness is not with one or two people. Love is feeling. Love is feeling, which goes beyond you, your family, your children, it goes to everything and everything around you. And initially, you will have various emotions coming up, but with regular practice you learn to understand that it is feeling for everything and everyone around me.
Mhm. Mhm.
One story that I got to know, and it people say the Buddha said it, um, so I will say the Buddha said it. um,
Yes.
Somebody
Let's assume that Buddha said it. Let's go for it.
yeah, let's go for it. So the story is important. The message of the story is very important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody came up to Buddha and said that, you've already been enlightened, so why do you continue with your practice?
Mhm.
You meditate every single day. And he said, oh, because I've understood how the world functions and what we are, etc., doesn't mean that I don't get pressured by daily things.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Everything about life happens to me also on a daily basis. And
Mhm.
that's why the practice.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I'm nothing without the practice. And I'm saying it in my own words.
Mhm.
I This is a story that I've heard in various meditation circles.
Mhm.
So the practice is important.
Mhm.
Even if you're enlightened, you still need the practice
Mhm.
because we live in a material world.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is not about, like a lot of people say, to maintain good health, exercise 2 times a week and exercise 3 times a week. Sadly, meditation does not work that way.
Mhm.
How much ever we might want to believe, etc., it's a daily practice. It has to be a daily practice, like breathing,
Mhm.
and that's
So I love that you're bringing that, and I love that you are grounding it into the reality of our own lives in the 3D reality, which is the material living. And we know now that we need to practice meditation on daily basis in order for this to sustain and to be an integral part of ourselves. And you beautifully said this is like breathing, like a breath. You keep on breathing daily. So how can we empower people to initiate themselves into this space? You mentioned that one of the practices that you share with your attendants to the courses and people that you're coaching is the candle practice, when they really focus and they keep on bringing their attention to it. So that's one step. What else would you like to share with people when it comes to invitation to what are the benefits if you commit to it? Because I talk to a lot of people who would say, well, Zoran, do you meditate? And I tell them, yeah, on daily basis, I have my own practice. And like, where do you find time to do this? I said, well, it's my daily thing. Like I'm drinking water, taking shower, exercising, moving. For me, meditation is something that I've integrated. And people are always like, I would really love to do this, but this excuse and that excuse. And then from the coaching perspective, I always feel it's really important to give people the benefits of doing that in order for them to be motivated or inspired to do it.
Okay.
So what would you say?
So it's a very, very important question you're asking, because, and I'm going to relate it to, I'm going to extract some information from a very old research that I had read about. It's by two people called Feinstein and Kripper way back in 1988. And
Okay.
It's very, very old, who had worked with meditators. And what they found was that, and I'm quoting them, is alleviation of pre-existing medical conditions, enhanced awareness of inner imagery, intuitions and feelings, experiences of unitive states of consciousness, enhanced relaxation, greater understanding of themselves, their writing processes, and because they were working with journal writers also, enhanced self-esteem, greater ability to focus, and elimination of blocks, and especially creative blocks. And when we talk of creative blocks, there was another study done by a gentleman called Daniel in 1994, and he expanded on this one particular part. And working with meditators, what he was able to figure out was that people move away from functional fixation, a lack of self-esteem. And there were 5 blocks that he was able to see that meditators were able to overcome by practice. And they were environmental, perceptual, cultural, intellectual, and emotional.
Right.
So there is immense amount of data, fortunately, because of the Western world, that today we all have, on our fingertips as to what happens. And today, fortunately, because of YouTube, you can see people practicing such advanced levels of meditation with certain breathing practices. They're all hand in hand. If you ask a very traditional yoga practitioner, he'll not be able to really make too many differences out of it, because he'll say, even if you're doing the physical part of yoga, you can make it into a proper meditative practice, because you're enhancing your awareness with every breath and every movement. So even that can become a very, and not make it flippant, like today, you have beer yoga and you have this yoga and that yoga. We're not talking of all that. We're talking of just, focusing on your breathing, working with your breath, being aware of your surroundings, what is happening. Every time I stretch, what happens? Every time I breathe, what happens? So I'm going to talk about 2-3 things here. One is definitely the candle meditation. The second is you can use anything to bring around your focus and concentration, which is use a prayer bead of any number that you feel like. If you're, different religions have different numbers of beads in them, which is another whole story. We're not getting into that. Or you can just simply, what today we know in the Western world as affirmations, and most English speaking people understand the word affirmation. So you can use mantra or affirmation interchangeably, or as a singular understanding, and use that repeatedly and see the benefits over a period of time. It's only you who will be able to say what are the benefits. You can also use, things like coloring. You have a lot of books now on mandala, like the Western world says, and the mandal coloring books you get. So that also can bring immense amount of focus and concentration. And for meditation, it's good to have some breathing practices because it will just help you ground. So
Right.
one of the good breathing practices is anulom vilom. Um, I forget what the Western world calls it, uh, but it's taking in the breath through one nostril, taking it out, and then the
Yeah.
second stage is in and out, in
Yeah.
and out, like that, and that also helps you ground. That also helps you bring a lot of meditation. You can combine the both and do that. A very good stress buster breathing practice is the Brahmari, which is putting your thumbs into your ears and making a humming sound. So that, when done for let's say for 5 minutes or so, will put you into certain states of consciousness which only you can experience and know what is happening. And I know it heals a lot of stress that office goers experience in today's world. It relaxes you. It helps alleviate things like tinnitus, etc., and also gives you a
That's
meditative practice. Yeah, yeah,
totally.
yeah, like that. And then you go mm, like that. I'm doing it very quickly, just demonstrating it because people, I'm sure, are aware of these
Mhm.
practices. And the other is to watch your breath.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can also just and you can also use, like, I know you travel a lot, Zoran, and because of TNM, even I've traveled a lot. Uh, and then because of the work you and I do, we travel a lot. So even using that space in at an airport or a bus stop or wherever you are, and you have 5 minutes, you can just become part of the observed world, without any judgments, without any inferences. You just see everything flowing.
Mhm.
And my experience is, it always brings a smile to my face, and
Yeah.
I'm smiling with just being a part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me say it like this. You're watching a sunset, yeah. If you have a good practice, when the sun suddenly dips, you'll take a deep breath, and you know that the sun is inside you. You have that feeling that, oh, it was gorgeous as long as it lasted.
Mhm.
But if you start, tapping somebody on the side and say, watch, how beautiful that is, you've lost the moment. You're looking
Yeah.
for your iPhone, or you're looking for your, oh, let me click this, let me put it on Facebook. You've lost the moment.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
You did.
yeah. So it is to be able to just sit with that, and be one with that, and that will come with practice.
Mm. Wonderful sharing. We're coming to the end of our time together today. I'm sure that people learn so much from listening to you about meditation, about the power of it, about the benefits of it, the research behind it as well. We talked about a lot of things. Any last thoughts or anything that you would love to leave the audience with?
So what I would like to leave this conversation with, and the audience who's listening in, is that, don't look for explanations of meditation. This is something that is an internal process that is happening inside you. So walk into it. Yeah, you can only know it through direct experience. And I'm picking up a line I had written in an article long back on meditation, that you have to hold your own hand, and you have to lead yourself. Nobody else is going to hold your hand. Yeah, nobody's going to lead you.
Mhm.
Only directions can be given to you, and only you can do it. So you have to hold your own hand and lead yourself into meditation, and
One,
and that's it.
yeah.
And your experience is yours.
I love that. Hold your hand, lead yourself into the meditation. Your experience is yours. We would love to leave our audience with this. This was a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much, Vikram, for being part of this today and for sharing your wisdom around meditation. I'm already thinking about we should do one around yoga as well, because you mentioned yoga practices, and I think we need to demystify this as well to the
Sure.
audience listening. So thank you so much for being here, for coming, for being you, and thank you so much, audience, for tuning in, for listening to this channel, and for enjoying the wisdom that we share. Thank you, and goodbye for now.
Thank you.